If you've just joined us, thank you so much for choosing us over the rest. This is the SABC's international voice, looking first for the African and then beyond. Time for us to get into our very first conversation. Now, Africa's creative economy is booming. And we can see this on various platforms. Think of TikTok, think of Instagram, think of various spaces where you're seeing Africa really pioneer the space. However, tonight we tilt our focus toward the world of fashion and design to digital innovation rather. But behind the beauty of African creativity lies a critical question. How do we move from talent to thriving globally? Our guest tonight is part of a new generation of African entrepreneurs answering that very question. This evening, we are joined by Sam Mensah, who is the founder of Ananse Africa, a rapidly growing e-commerce platform connecting African designers, artists, and artisans to global markets. Many will know him as the founder of Kiswa. This is a brand that brought contemporary African fashion to global stages, even dressing global icons like Beyonce. So tonight we are in the midst of greatness. Mr. Sam, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to African Diaries.
Wow, what an introduction, huh?
You did
My
that.
mother will be so proud listening to you.
You did that all by yourself. I am simply doing the math and really introducing the world to what it is you have to offer.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here with you.
I was stunned when I was looking at some of your work. I know that you were recently in Nairobi, I believe it is, Kenya, for the Fashion Week. Run us through that experience.
Yeah, so we collaborate with creators from across the African continent. We currently active in 6 African countries: Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Senegal, Ivory Coast, and South Africa. And often we partner with, fashion platforms like Nairobi Fashion Week to give exposure to African creatives on the global market. There's a lot of talent in Africa, and oftentimes the talent experiences challenges with market access. And so platforms like Ananse play a really vital role in giving fashion creatives access to these markets. And, a lot of what we do, fashion is obviously beautiful and glamorous, and we're blessed on the continent with talent. But a lot of what we do is also the sort of back office, back room, the engine room, the nuts and bolts of the industry that nobody gets to see, the quality assurance, the logistics, the payments, the fulfillment, making sure that the right products gets to the right customer at the right time, at the right price. And so, yeah, it's part of what we do to engage with design platforms and shows like Nairobi Fashion Week, and we do that across the continent.
I want to find out, what does Ananse mean?
So Ananse is actually a character from Akan folklore and traditional storytelling. So Akan is a group of languages in Ghana, which is where I'm from. So it's kind of like Bantu in South Africa, where you have a collection of languages that come from the same branch or family tree. So the Akan languages are a group of languages, and in Akan folklore, you have Ananse Spider, and he's Kofi Ananse. And he goes off on a bunch of, adventures, and he could be quite mischievous sometimes, and it's an interesting character. And so Ananse was the inspiration, the motivation for the name. In fashion, we bring together fashion, technology, the internet, So in fashion, just much like the spider, we weave, and much like the internet, we have a web that connects. And so that was the inspiration for the Ananse platform, which is a platform for fashion and other creatives that connects them and weaves them to customers around the world.
What a brilliant way to phrase things. The voice there of the CEO of Ananse Africa, that is Sam Mensah. We are going to take a quick breather, 20 minutes before 11 p.m. Central Africa time. If you want to send through your questions, find us on WhatsApp, +27 83 6684. It is 19 minutes before 11 p.m. Central Africa time. If you've just joined us, thank you so much for choosing us over the rest. This is African Diaries, and we're currently in conversation with Sam Mensah, who is the founder of Ananse Africa. Now, last year, the company launched Ananse Centre for Design Lagos. This is a state-of-the-art creative hub empowering young designers with training, production tools, and market access. I want us to talk about, just before we get into that Ananse Centre for Design in Lagos, I want us to look at the past, right? So you first established Kisua, and this is the same brand that dressed the likes of Beyonce. What made you transition from being a globally recognized brand to an individual who wants to establish other African artists?
So I think that what's the work that we do at Kisua gave us very good grounding in figuring out how to make the fashion, the back room, the back office of the fashion business work, right? What I call the unglamorous side of the fashion business, which is about 80% of it. It's the production, the supply chain management, the sourcing of materials, the production, the quality assurance, the distribution, the customer service, the logistics, the payments, all of that. That's really the essence of a fashion business. The clothes are beautiful, and we had the privilege, as you mentioned, of dressing some amazing creatives, creative, stylish women on the African continent and internationally. The likes of Beyonce, Lupita, Gabrielle Union, and also many other amazing African creatives, Toke Makinwa in Nigeria, Pearl Tusi here in South Africa, and many others. But at the core of what we do is the ability to keep that engine room, which is what drives the business going. And so we saw an opportunity where, with everything that we have learned about the business of fashion, we could then establish a platform where we could apply those lessons and those principles, and apply it not just for ourselves, but apply it to hundreds and thousands of creatives across the African continent who were experiencing many of the same challenges that we had experienced and learned to overcome. And effectively, we have this knowledge and capacity sharing platform that enables other African creatives to be able to trade beyond their local markets. And that's how Ananse spawned. Really, it kind of gained momentum during COVID, when the traditional means by which fashion creators trade with the customers in retail stores or physical spaces was closed. They needed a digital outlet in order to be able to reach customers, and we had the capability and that's when we introduce the Ananse platform.
I want to talk about this knowledge and capacity training platform. I was going through some of your work and I see that you're re-engineering how shoes are being made. You spoke of being the future of footwear. Talk to me about that.
So it's really hard to emphasize just how much talents we have on the African continent. And sometimes I get surprised, but maybe we really shouldn't, because there's over 1 billion of us. And so, we just so many people, and also so much inspiration from our very, very rich tapestry of cultures. It's not surprising that we take from our cultures, we take from outside, we bring it together, and we create amazing stuff. And sometimes, I look at what these young people at the Fashion Hub in Lagos are producing and creating, and I'm just in awe. So what we have in Lagos, and we have smaller versions in Accra, and very soon we'll have one in Johannesburg as well. What we have is it's a fashion hub in the Ananse Centre for Design in Lagos, and it's a combination of over 10 studios with different creative disciplines. And the idea is that creative can walk into the center with an idea and leave with a product that is market ready. So we have studios for clothing, and clothes making. We have um, leather goods, shoes, and bags. We have branding, laser branding. We have embroidery. We have content creation. We have a variety of content rooms, podcast rooms, photography studios. There's also a computer aided design center where you learn to design with, using digital technology and AI, and a whole bunch of, training facilities and training rooms. And it's really a place where young Africans come to bring their ideas to life. And I just continue to be surprised by just the creativity, the innovation, and the beauty of what these young creatives are coming up with every day.
The voice there of the CEO of Ananse Africa, really putting to the test that redefining of what made in Africa means. That is Sam Mensah. It is 49 after 10 p.m. Central Africa time. A quick breather, and then we get into the landscape of creativity in the context of the African continent, and essentially how to monetize your creativity. We're still in conversation with Sam Mensah, the founder of Ananse Africa. And I want us to get into just a landscape review, if you will allow me, Sam. I want to talk about monetizing creativity. Right, because I understand that Ananse Africa is all about that. But I do want to extend a view to the greater majority in the African continent, and especially for those who are in different spheres of creativity. I do think there's a bit of a mismatch between the caliber of creativity versus the business nuance and acumen to monetize creativity. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so monetizing creativity has to be deliberate. You cannot leave it to chance, and that's why we actually initially started off just as an e-commerce platform, and then we quickly realized that we needed to support the creatives with training. So we have experts in a variety of fields that support the creative entrepreneurs. So whether it is, digital marketing or e-commerce or quality control, quality assurance, or things like, accounting and bookkeeping and pricing and costs. I mean, it often surprised me how often creatives misprice their products, and often they misprice because they cost incorrectly. So when you cost incorrectly, and oftentimes it's because uh, part of the costs are excluded. And so part of what we do is providing, templates that can help you make sure that you miss nothing out when you're calculating your cost. Typically, designers can easily undercost by anywhere from 10 to 30%. And when you're undercost because you're not including everything in what we call the bill of materials, because you forget to price in your electricity properly, or you price in your labor, or pricing your materials incorrectly, then it means then that when you are calculating your your margins, because you've undercosted, you underprice. And so you've often find that designers or creatives are making money, they're trading, but they're not really making a profit because of these kinds of issues. Then we're in creatives on, how to access markets, how to present your brand. From how you name your company to how you design your logo to how you tell your story. Uh, Fashion is very, very visual. So it's very important that, especially on the internet, when you sell on the internet, we tell people you're not actually selling a product, you're selling a picture or a video. So it's really important how you construct that picture or how you construct that video, because that's what the customer is buying. They buy the picture or the video that they see with the promise that you will deliver to them a product that looks like the picture or the video that they've seen. So it's that intentionality to to the business side of creativity. That's a big part of what we're about, and what we do, supporting African creatives to be intentional about how to make money from their creativity.
The business expands further here into South Africa, Johannesburg, Rosebank. When will this be happening, and how can people sign up?
So this will be happening in the next 2 months. We'll be launching the studio, the Ananse Studios, in Johannesburg, in Rosebank. And you can sign up. You can reach out to us on social media. We're on Ananse.Africa or fashionhub.ananse on all platforms. And you can also go to ananse.com or ananse.com/fashionhub. And we're happy to engage. We're in many countries, as I said, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Senegal, Ivory Coast, and very soon to South Africa. And we're very excited about it.
And Mr. Sam, as a parting shot for those who are listening, inspired, almost ready to start grabbing the pins, the needles, the sewing kits, and you've just reawoken, or rather reimagined, life in the sphere of fashion for them. What would you say as a word of wisdom and counsel to them? Apart from the enthusiasm that one may have after listening to a conversation, you need to stretch beyond that, right? What would you say to them at this very point?
I think uh, the most important thing you can do is to get started. Oftentimes, we may not feel ready. And often, generally, people who are in the creative industries are we're perfectionists. We want everything to be perfect before we start. You're never going to feel ready. You're never going to feel like you're good enough. You're never going to feel like you have enough money. Ultimately, you have to start. So if there's one piece of advice I can give you is, just get started.
And started we will get indeed, good sir. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been rather
My pleasure.
inspirational.
Thanks.
The voice there of the CEO of Ananse Africa, that is Sam Mensah, joining us this evening. Is also behind the brand Kisua, having dressed stars such as Gabriella Union, Lupita Nyong'o, Beyonce, Pearl Tusi, you name it. These individuals have been on his radar. And he says that the inception point of everything is just get started, okay? Learn and fail forward. I love that. I don't know how you feel about that. Perhaps you're sitting there with this creative idea and you're saying, Shayla, I don't have resources. I don't have this. I don't have that. Perhaps start and then see what it is that you are lacking. If you want to share your story, if you're saying, I actually want to share my experience of how I started and I can see the fruit of me pushing forward, pushing forth, and not becoming comfortable with the lack, with the condition of my state, but really pressing forward against everything that proves to be an odd. Please do find us on WhatsApp. I'd love to hear from you this evening. +278 3288 6684.